Let's start off with a little update on Bitcoin here. This is on the 4-hour. And basically, we are still in this descending channel. We've been testing on the top end of this channel, trying to get above. So far, no luck. We're actually currently trapped a little below the 50% Fibonacci level at about 11,500. We're right now at about 11,389. Trying to get back up there. We'll see if we can test on the top end of this channel again. We basically want to eventually break out to the top here for, to keep the bullish action going. And if and when we do, we'll probably have a pretty quick ascent up to about 13.5, I think. There's not a ton of resistance in between there. However, we could keep getting stopped out here, and eventually we're going to have to test on this ascending trend line. This basically has been here, this whole bull run. And there's a lot of support levels, in here. So we're still very much in a bull market, but you're going to want to watch. Basically, sooner or later, we're going to have to test on this unless we just break out. And when that happens, watch for a break below this trend line, because that would signal more of a bearish shift in momentum, which is really my segue into what we're going to talk about next tonight, is that there's a few different altcoins that themselves have broken their trend lines, these ascending trend lines that most of the market's been on. And we're going to explore basically why they're acting a little different, and if it's like kind of an early warning for the rest of the market, or if they're just kind of aberrant and doing their own things. So for that, let's start off with an update on Litecoin. Here we have Litecoin on the 4-hour. We were just recently talking about Litecoin because of the halving that happened, and how we didn't really see any upside after the halving, and I talked about recently how it was probably already priced in, etc. So yeah. Here you can see we dabbled with breaking the trend line a few times, and then recently we had a pretty solid break below it. We haven't even fully gone up to retest to get back in it yet. We've got some notable support below at $80. We got some resistance above it about 100. Basically what we're going to need to see with Litecoin is not only a retest, but a break, not just above this line, but really a solid break above 100, I would say, to get back on this bullish trend. Other than that, watch for, as we test down, whenever we test on this support, watch for some kind of break below 80. That could be problematic. That could be taking us back down to about 70. We probably have every like $5 or $10. We're going to see some psychological support there. So keep an eye out for that. But that's the gist of it, is that we definitely, this might serve as resistance itself. So we'll see if we start rising underneath this, or if we can actually like kind of push back above it. If the market does well, I think there's a reasonable chance. So let's look at some other coins that are kind of performing similarly, but they have their own stories. Let's take a look at Cardano. Okay, Cardano here also has had a fantastic year. I mean, look at this chart. But again, when it came down hard, and we can see how we just recently had a similar story where we broke the trend line, and we, unlike Litecoin, we actually have tried to test to get back in, and we got rejected off of it. Much like Litecoin, we have some solid support underneath it. It looks like for Cardano it's at about 5 cents. And we have some resistance above at about 6 cents. So kind of the same story in terms of like we want to see it break back into this, above this trend line. If we don't, yeah, we're going to have to watch for another a break below 5 cents here. We'd probably, again, have about every half cent would probably be about the psychological levels we're looking at, which you can actually kind of see reflected back here. So watch for that. Again, we might see kind of a sideways action going on here. We might see this. We also could see something where it stays closer to the top end of this. This is if we fail to break back in. But that also, if it does do that, once we get above this resistance here, that could give it an opportunity to push through. So a lot of this is going to have to do with how these coins respond and how the market as a whole responds. So let's take a look now at one more coin that, again, is kind of following this pattern, but is doing its own thing, and that's TRON. As you can see here with TRON, it's a bit more volatile than the other coins we were talking about, but the same basic idea holds pretty much all year. A pretty solid trend line that we were well above. But when it broke hard, even harder than the other ones. And now we're actually more than the other ones. We're hanging out at the bottom end. We got the support here at, looks like just over 2 cents, or basically the support's at 2 cents. And again, some resistance above at 3 cents. So like the other coins, we have a channel, although unlike the other coins, it seems TRON is more than willing to move through this channel very quickly. So we might see tests up and down that happen kind of fast. The question is, of course, can we get out of the channel? Same thing, we need a solid break above to get back into the ascending trend, and we got to watch out for a dip below. TRON has some pretty decent support a little ways below it, between like about 1.2 to 1.4 cents. So if we do break down, we'd probably hold off of that. But this is kind of the question I'm coming to with all. I could keep going with some other coins, although a lot of coins actually aren't performing like this. A lot of coins are doing well, and we'll talk about that in a future video. The question is, are these coins warning us that the market's about to start, the whole market might be starting to break its trend lines, or we're going to see a bigger dip? All I can say right now is let's look at the market as a whole. This is the total market cap, and the total market cap is doing pretty well. We have not broken the bullish ascent here at all, and that's what we really need to be watching. We're still getting higher lows, and until that breaks, I wouldn't worry too much, even though some coins are starting to falter. We're not seeing an alt season yet. Not sure when that's coming, but we're all watching out for it. I've talked about in previous videos how we might not get a uniform alt season. We might get different coins going at different times. So for right now, certainly don't panic, but I also have to be very clear that these bear scenarios are still on the table. We could be starting a descending channel here, just like I was showing with Bitcoin, where pretty soon we are going to break the trend line and a bigger bearish turn will be beginning, and that this is, not just some slight consolidation. So watch out for that. Keep in mind that's still very much possible, but we're not there yet. That hasn't happened yet, so there's no reason to panic. And once more, that ought to do it for me. As I'm always saying, this is not investment advice. This is just my personal opinion. Go do your own research. Make your own decisions. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck with those trades.